Hello everyone, welcome back to the Debt Dad Show. I am your host Jeff with AEMoneySolutions.com, where we will run with you through your debt-free journey. I am so excited today to bring you guys episode 8 of the show. We have a special guest on, Jason Small from Indianapolis. We're going to talk about how Jason and his family paid off $110,000 worth of debt. We're going to talk about some books. We're going to talk about some food from Indianapolis. And we're going to talk about how Jason is pursuing his passion now that his family is debt-free. Jason, welcome to the Debt Dad Show. We're excited to have you here today.
How's this?
That's great.
Is that better?
Yeah, now I got you on speaker.
All right, cool, good.
Cool. All right, well, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to have you on. You are the first guest I've ever had on the show, so it's exciting for me, and I'm excited to let you tell your debt-free journey to all the listeners out there.
That's pretty awesome. I hopefully get your show off on the right foot when it comes to having guests on, I hope.
Yeah, let's hope so. So let's jump right in, and why don't you give listeners kind of an idea of your background and kind of how you guys came to get into all of your debt?
I graduated from college in December of 2016, and then I became commissioned in the United States military the following November. And for anybody who knows what a young commissioned officer does, they go get a nice fancy new car right away. I did that, and that just kind of started the debt downward spiral for me. And then I met my wife, and we both just kind of embraced that lifestyle. And when we started our debt-free journey, we were about $110,000 in debt in March of 2013 when we started our debt journey. Just with so the scary part about that $110,000 number is that was no student loans. That was cars, an engagement ring. We got married in Jamaica, so our destination wedding was in that. And my favorite was 2 dog knee surgeries were also on debt. So. Yeah, there you go.
That stuff adds up fast.
Yeah,
it does. It's crazy to think, especially because the U.S., most people who have large sums of debt, there's usually a large amount of student loan debt.
I know.
So it's surprising that that's not even in there.
It's really scary because military paid off mine, and my wife's dad did a good job of setting her up for success when it came to college. So yeah, that's what's scary about our debt number. There was no student loans in that number.
Yeah. So then what ended up being your guys' tipping point on that? Because Dave Ramsey always says you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah. So we were newly married. Both of us had very good jobs, no kids. So we were making close to $200,000. And every 2 weeks, we got paid bi-weekly. At the end of every 2 weeks, we were running out of money. And I was just like, this can't be the way this is supposed to work. Life isn't supposed to – we're making tons of money. And finally, through my small group at my church, one of my buddies said, hey, have you heard of Dave Ramsey? I said, Dave who? And he said, hey, you need to read this book. I said, okay. I read it. At the time, I wasn't much of a reader. I read the book in 2 to 3 days, and then I talked to my wife about it, and we were off and running.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So your timeline to pay off that debt, actually, I should ask you, were you guys investing? So you were saying you were making around $200,000. Was any of that going to investing at all?
We were both doing 401ks, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because a lot of times people make that much money, and they don't even do that.
Yeah, we were doing that at least, thank goodness.
Yeah. So your timeline for paying off that $110,000.
So it took us a grand total of 17 months, right? So we started that in the March of 2013 is when we started. We had a daughter, our first daughter, in November of that year. So along with her, my wife, paying for a baby and all that, it ended up taking us a grand total of 17 months to get rid of that debt.
Right. So did you guys do anything to fast track it? Is there
anything
cut out or?
So yeah, kind of funny story. So the car I referenced before when I got commissioned. So I bought a 2006 Dodge Charger RT. It was a sweet car, burnt orange, all that stuff. Well, we were married, and I was like, well, I'm going to get a smarter car. So I got rid of that and got one of the new Kia Optimas. It was a nice car.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, it was a nice car. Well, that was just not the debt. That was just, Kia. And then once we got on the debt-free journey, I actually sold that Kia. It had equity in it, thank goodness. Brought us, got rid of that debt, brought in about $5,000 worth of equity, got rid of 2 credit cards. And my dad actually ended up giving me his Ford Ranger. Not because he wanted it out of the kindness of his heart, which obviously is true, but he also didn't want to feel guilty when it broke down. So I drove it for about 2 years, and then I gave it to my little brother. And he lives in Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania they have to do vehicle inspections, and the dealer, the mechanic wouldn't even inspect the truck because he was afraid the frame would literally buckle up in the air. So that's my, as you probably have heard Dave talk about Dave cars and people talk.
Your Dave car,
that was my Dave car. Yep.
Cool. So it got you through it.
It did, man. It was, it was fine. It didn't have AC. It had, manual windows, but it was proud kind of symbol of what we were doing, how we were sacrificing to get ourselves back on the right track.
Right. So then did you guys end up cutting anything else, like your cable or anything like that, or just basically the cars you kind of sold and downgraded? And that?
Yeah, because we had
major things.
We had a big hole, right? But we also had a pretty good shovel. So we actually, I don't think we had cable, honestly, because we both have never been that into TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we cut anything else. We did definitely, back off the going out to eats and the shopping and all that. We were just nickeling and diming ourselves to death at the time. So we definitely cut back way on that kind of stuff.
Right. So then, like you said, you had credit card debt. What kind of stuff would you say was on those cards?
Oh, geez. Just a little bit of everything. We bought a mattress with a credit card. When we got married, we had to have, a super nice mattress because, married people need to have a super nice mattress. Just stuff. And, we were just spending on stuff and we couldn't pay it off. So we just kept it on cards. You know what I mean? I can't, that's the sad part. There's nothing I can point to that says, oh, we used it on this. It was just living way beyond what our means were.
Yeah, and we were the same way. I always say it was, for us, it was death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly.
Like wasn't on any nice vacations, or I didn't have a boat or, Sea-Doos or Skidoos or anything like that. It was just really dumb stuff.
Yeah, if you looked at us, you wouldn't say, oh, Whitney, my wife's name, and me, oh, they live in a really fancy lifestyle. No, we're pretty normal. We didn't go. It was like you said, death by 1,000 cuts is absolutely a great way to describe it.
Yeah. So through your debt-free journey, you guys obviously followed the baby steps from Dave Ramsey. Did you ever have to use your emergency fund?
We did. So the baby was born. Delaney, my oldest, was born in November of 13. November of 14, we actually had to replace the heating and cooling system in our house. So we had just gotten our emergency fund up to where it needed to be, and then we used it. So, yeah.
So was that the full 1,000? Because some people still build it up past 1,000 just because they feel.
This was our full emergency fund. This was post paying off debt.
Oh, so you guys had an emergency fund prior to?
No. This was, so we had the 1,000. We paid off all our debt. Oh. This was the following winter. So I try to think of anything during our debt-free journey that we needed to do, and there wasn't anything major that I could think of that we needed to tap into that $1,000.
Right. And I guess given your income at that point anyways, it wouldn't have been overly difficult if it was over $1,000 to match whatever you needed to and just stop.
Yeah, we had a big hole, but we had a really good shovel too. So, yeah.
So after you guys pay off all your debt, what was it worth it?
Yeah. It was so worth it. When we signed, I forget, our last debt was, what was our last debt? I forget what it was, but yeah, man. I think it was our last debt.
Yeah,
We finally paid off the last debt, and we owned everything. It was so worth it. It was so awesome, but it was weird because it was kind of anticlimactic. Like you expected, like angelic, heart playing fat Cupid babies to show up and like fireworks to go off in the background. And none of that happened. It was just like, okay, now we're on to the next step. But yeah, it's totally worth it. Just kind of fast forward 4 or 5 years now because of what we did there. My wife's a stay-at-home mom now, and me and my wife are able to we're foster parents.
That's cool.
If we were still living that type of lifestyle, there's no way we'd be able to be foster parents. My wife wouldn't be able to stay home with the kids. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It gives you the ability to live like no one else, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. We make far less than that now, and we live much more at peace, much, I guess, comfortable. We got our emergency fund we're investing. If we keep on the right investment path we're on now, we're going to retire with well over 7 figures in our retirement account. So yeah, it's just wild what happens when you start managing money the right way.
Yeah. So when you guys made that last payment on that ring, last payment, were you guys together or were you separate when you guys did that? Or
in the context of were we married or were we?
No. Like, did you go to the bank to pay off the loan to the jewelry store? Did you do it online or?
Yeah, we just paid it online. Like, we weren't really, like, a lot of people really get into the symbolism of it and like visual trackers of it. We've never been that way. I think it was as simple as I went online, paid it, and said, "Hey, babe, guess what? We're out of debt." And she's like, "Oh, no way!" Just because she was never that into the tracking of it and all that, like I was, but she was fully on board. If that makes sense, we were never really big into the symbolism and the visuals like a lot of people really are.
Right. So did you guys go to Ramsey Solutions and do a debt-free scream or no?
So we planned to. We actually had it scheduled. Something happened that we couldn't get down there. I forget what it was. But yeah, we had planned to go down there, but we never ended up going.
Yeah. So I guess leading into that, do you think if you would have gone and done it, would you – because there's different types of screams when people go on there.
Yeah.
I find it quite funny because some people are like, we're debt-free.
Yeah.
Or there's the other people that go to the opposite extreme, and you can feel the passion and the deep emotion from like deep inside of them, like it's a monkey and an elephant and a bird and just off their back, like they're screaming. Do you think you guys are more on that end or the lower end or maybe somewhere in between?
Are you familiar with the term primal scream? Do you know what that means?
I have an idea.
So yeah, I would have been one of the crazies screaming, right? My wife would have been a little bit more subdued, but yeah, it would have been a big fun party celebration. Yeah, we would have had fun with it.
Yeah, for us too. I know it was really emotional for myself when I paid off that last payment. I called my wife from my office. I said, making the last payment. So, and we kind of did it while she was on the phone, and I shed a little bit of a tear.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If I'm going to be honest, because it just is, it's for a lot of people, it's a really emotional journey. And especially when you have kids and you have to look down at them and realize that you want to leave them something.
Yeah, I mean, when we got our debt, we were we only had one kid at the time, and she would have been what? She would have been 8 months yet, so she really didn't get it yet. I don't think we really fully grasped at the time what we were setting her up for a lifetime of either. You know what I mean? I don't think we fully gripped at that point yet what the decisions we were making and the fight we had just went through, what that was going to change about her life and our future kids' lives. You know what I mean? I don't think it had fully sunken in at that point.
Yeah. And now it has.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 So within your household, I guess maybe it stayed the same throughout, but who kind of looked after the money in your guys' household? Was it you or your wife, or you guys kind of do it together? So the way we did it and the way we still continue to do it is I'm the bookkeeper. The way we do it is I create the budget. Yep.
And then every Sunday night we have a budget meeting where we sit down and kind of review it. So, the Sunday prior to the month start, we go over and say, hey, what do we got this next month? Does this look good? Think about it. Get back to me. Yep. And then every Sunday night we just briefly chat about it. It's usually now a pretty short conversation. It's crazy. Even all these years later doing it, we still aren't very good at our food budget, to be honest with you. And we still so what we do now is about every 3rd or 4th day, our calendar we have on our refrigerator, I'll go up there and write what we have left for the month up there and circle it so she knows where we're at, because she's kind of the manager of our home. She does one heck of a job at it. Yeah. And I'm just kind of the accountant of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're very similar in that in regards to food. My wife usually goes out and does the shopping if extra groceries are needed for running a little low, and that's conversations that we have all the time still, that what's left, how much do I have left to spend. She just doesn't go out and spend whatever she wants.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So did you guys have a budget before you started?
So our idea of a budget was, hey, I'm going to go buy something for $100. You good with it? Yep, you're good with it. Yeah, we didn't do any type of planning at all. None. I'd never learned how to do it. I don't even know if I'd even considered the fact you should do a budget, to be very honest with you.
And, so no. Given the fact that you had a large income, and I think a lot of people that have a lot of debt would look at it that same way. I make enough money that I don't really need to. Why do I need a budget?
Yeah,
I make $200,000. What do I need a budget for?
Yeah, you might be right.
Take a look at your debt, and then I'll tell you why you need a budget.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you guys said you didn't have a budget before. So you said you had 3 kids now, right?
We have 2 biological kids, and we have a third. Our third is our current foster daughter. Yep.
Right. So how old are your foster daughter? Is 6 months? Is that correct?
Yep. So she's 6 months, and our oldest Delaney, she's 5, and our youngest biological, he's a boy, and he is 3.
Okay. So are you guys doing anything with the 2 older ones now to ensure that they don't follow in your guys' former footsteps and maybe follow in what you guys do now?
Yeah, so we've already learned that our daughter, she is a giver by heart. We've set up chore charts already for her. We've been tracking it. She kind of gets it. She'll give away all of her money just at a whim, right? So I guess that's a good problem to have, is teaching her not to give away all her money. That's not what you want to do. Is much better than teaching somebody, hey, you should give. So we started with her. Little man, we haven't really started with him yet. He's still eating dirt and doing that kind of stuff outside. So we haven't started with him yet, but with her a little bit, we started to, for sure. But we definitely have talked about plans for the future on what we're going to do and how we're going to make sure that they know how to handle money much better than the way we did.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I was always under the belief that the school should teach our kids, but at some point along our debt-free journey, as I started learning and reading books. I never read a book through all of high school. I don't think I finished a book.
Me either.
Yeah, and now I read books all the time.
Dude, you sound, honestly, the more we talk, the more you sound just like my northern long-lost cousin or something. We sound so similar. Yeah, my Canadian cousin. Yeah, I mean, my dad grew up in northern Maine, so that's basically Canada. So who knows?
It's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close. So so we started teaching our daughter, I think, when she was 4.
How old is your daughter?
She's 6. And my oldest daughter is 6 now.
Okay.
And my youngest daughter's 4.5. So
okay,
we're starting to teach her, but the older one, we kind of started with wants and needs when we went grocery shopping.
Oh,
to try and teach her the difference between what we really need and maybe if we just don't want it.
Yeah, we started with Delaney, our oldest, doing save, give, spend buckets. Hey, when you get money, this is the 3 things you do with money, and you have to do all 3 things. So yep.
Both of our daughters have the same thing. Their uncle gave them owl piggy banks, and they've got a save, a spend, and a share, 3 separate slots. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good for them. So I was having a conversation with my wife a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about kind of where I was in my life with my career, and she said, "Oh, you were so lucky to be where you were," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And then the next day I was still kind of thinking about it. I thought it wasn't. I don't know if it was necessarily luck, or if it was just opportunity. And the opportunity came to me, and because of whether it was my personality or my work ethic or whatever it was, I was given that opportunity, and I went for it, and I jumped for that opportunity. So do you believe more in luck, or do you think we kind of create our own opportunities?
So just pure random luck? No. I mean, other than like lottery winners, like a lot of people said, "Oh man, you've been really lucky in your life," and I'm like, "Well, I don't think so. I've made, a lot of hard work and wise decisions compounded over time really open up doors and opportunities that wouldn't be there otherwise, right? So what looks like luck to somebody else on the outside is actually, just a lot of hard work, preparation, wisdom, and doing things that all of a sudden became lucky, right?
Right. Answering the door when somebody knocks.
Yeah. So, I mean, like what I'm getting ready to do, we've kind of briefly chat. Like I'm leaving my 6-figure warehouse management job next month to pursue a career in financial coaching and implementing financial wellness programs and businesses, right? If I'm successful, is it going to be luck, or is it just because I've spent 3 or 4 years reading, studying, practicing personal finance stuff and finally took the risk in trying to implement it, right? Will I be lucky? Maybe a little bit, but no, mostly it's because of hard work and just preparation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And I got to applaud you on that, because leaving your full-time job where you're making a really, really good salary, it's tough to leave when you're getting that paycheck every 2 weeks and you're going to something where it's a little bit unknown. And that's why most people don't start doing anything, because it's unknown to them and they're scared. And it's just the easier path is to just stay what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you can relate it to doing the debt-free journey. The easier thing is just to not to do it. It's easier for me not to put stuff out of my life and live really frugally for a year and work really hard to get that paid off. It's easier.
Yeah, by nature, I'm a fairly non-risk taking conservative in the sense of not just doing crazy things. So when I came home a couple months ago and told my wife this is what I wanted to do, she looked at me like I was crazy. She goes, "No, what? This is what you love. This is going to be awesome. Let's do it." You know what I mean? Just because I've never done anything like that, I would never say I have an entrepreneurial spirit by nature. Yeah. It's just something I feel passionate about. I've never felt more at ease about doing something like this ever. So
yeah, that's cool. And your wife's behind you, which is really important, because it would make it a heck of a lot more difficult to accomplish that with someone who's a little bit more unsure.
I couldn't, right? Like if she said, "No, I don't think that's a smart idea," I wouldn't be doing it. So yeah, it's definitely.
So I was going to ask you why you think you were called to be a financial coach, but it's obviously your passion.
Honestly, it's because dudes like you and me, there's millions of other dudes out there like you and me who haven't heard how to handle money. There's, the moms and the dads who were wanting to do what's great for their kids, but they just don't know what that looks like. They're not sure. Like what got me is I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. I knew I needed to pay off my debt. I just didn't have a plan, a path. And that's what I want to do. I want to get in front of as many people as I can, because I just know what, now that we're on the other side of this, what life can be like when you're managing your money right. And I want to help as many people get to that point as I can.
Right. Yeah. So, you said previously that you didn't really read in high school.
No, none.
You obviously do read, I'm guessing.
Do, yeah.
So, do you read a lot?
So right now, because I have a 35-minute commute to work, I don't read a lot. I listen a lot to books right now. So, yeah, I listen both ways. I'm listening to books. So, yes, I'm still definitely consuming books. I'm not able to read as much as I would prefer.
Yeah, so reading, audiobooks, podcasts.
Yep.
Do you have anything you'd recommend in those categories, like a book or a podcast that?
I got a couple books. I just recently listened to a book. It's called Dollars and Cents, How We Misthink Money and How to Spend Smarter, by a dude named Dr. Dan I think it's Airly.
Yeah.
It is a really insightful book into the human psychology of money, like how people approach money, how our brains work when it comes to money. It was really interesting to look at it from that side of the coin. So yeah, that's a cool, really interesting read. Another fun one for investing is a book called Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth by a guy named Nick Murray. It just kind of, he actually typically writes for investment professionals.
Yep.
This is his first book that he's written for non-investment guys. It is just how, if you just kind of what Dave teaches, if you just do that, if you're not an active trader, if you just invest steadily over time, it's almost impossible not to become wealthy.
Yeah. So do you guys use a financial advisor? Or do you kind of do it on your own, or?
I have a financial advisor I'm using. Actually, part of my coaching plan eventually is I want to get licensed to do investing as well.
Yep.
So when that happens, I'll probably won't use one. But yeah, we currently use an advisor.
Right. All right. Well, let's maybe go a little bit lighter. You're from Indianapolis, correct?
Yeah.
So
yep.
If I was traveling to Indianapolis, and whenever we travel, my wife always kind of gets annoyed by me because I always want to go eat somewhere that we don't have where we live.
Yep.
So if you had to, I'm in Indianapolis and you have to recommend a place, whether it's fast food or a fancy restaurant, where am I going?
So Indy is known without a doubt the most for a restaurant downtown called St. Elmo's.
Yeah.
It has it's a steakhouse. It's a very upscale steakhouse. It's awesome. Like, it's expensive. Like, if you and your wife went and had a drink, and it's going to be probably close to $150 and $200 meal.
Plus 40% because we're from Canada.
Oh yeah. So then, good point. And they also have this cocktail sauce that is known across the country that's really popular. It's really horseradishy. So it's really unique. It's really good. That would be the fancy place. There is a really cool over near where the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is. There is a little, almost like a drive-up place called Mug and Bun. It's a really cool fast foodie type place that my wife and I really like. So those would be the two places I would tell you, just because they're all kind of on the opposite ends of the food spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if I'm going out before that meal or I'm going out after that meal for entertainment, what am I doing?
In Indy, honestly, we are a great sports town.
Yeah.
We host the Final Four for the NCAA basketball a lot. Every year we host the Big Ten football championship, which is great, which I actually graduated from Ohio State. So that's awesome for me because my Buckeyes make it over there quite often. So I get to go watch them play. Sports town, honestly, we moved here and became parents right away. So, in terms of a lot of fun, entertaining things, I'm probably not the best resource, but Indy does a fantastic job hosting big sporting events.
Yeah. Cool. And I guess the last thing before we let you go here, if you could give, I was going to ask you for 3, but I won't make you give 3. If you want to give 3, you can, but I'll ask you for one piece of advice that you would give somebody who is maybe think about paying off debt or is currently paying off debt.
Yeah, I kind of have a couple that I always ask, and for me, it's not tactical, right? It's not the how you do it. It's more of the bigger picture. Like, I don't know if you've ever read Simon Sinek, and, starts with why. So when you are looking at your debt, look at it and ask the question, why? Why do you have debt? Or if you're going through your debt-free journey, why are you working to pay that debt off?
Right.
Getting out of debt, it sucks. Like, it's sacrifice. It's hard. Why? Understand the why behind it. If you have a lot of debt, really look at it and understand why. If it's just because you're trying to keep up with your friends on Instagram and Facebook and all that, like, is it worth it? I don't think so.
Right.
And if you're paying it off, why are you doing it? You're doing it so your kids never know debt? Are you doing it so that you can retire with dignity? Are you doing it so that you and your spouse can travel? I don't know. Another thing I would say, dream. You really got to dream when you're going through those debt doldrums of the dog days of debt, paying it off. Just dream. And I'm going to write a book on this someday. When I do, I'll tell you about it so you can have me back on your show again. But the third thing, and it kind of goes along with the one, but learn to be content. Learn how to be content. That's hard, especially in the cultures we have both here in the States and it sounds like up in Canada as well. Just the constant comparison to everybody's highlight reel and the constant need to feel like you have to consume. If you can learn how to be content, now content isn't complacent. Content isn't, well, I'm not going to strive for better. Content is, hey, I'm okay where I'm at. I'm going to continue to drive forward. Just learn to be content and your life will change in dramatic ways. That's the biggest one, is learn to be content. If you can master contentment, if you can learn that, you'll be successful.
Yeah, I really like your first one and your why, because your why almost has to be bigger than whatever your problem is.
Yeah, I've heard people say in certain situations, your why should almost make you cry. Like, you know what I mean? It should be that powerful of a thing. It should almost make you cry.
So when we were getting out of our debt and on our debt-free journey, I had a second job doing food deliveries. And at first I was listening to the radio, and then I shut the radio off and I started listening. I was like you. I was in the car, so I might as well learn while I'm working. So I listened to podcasts and I listened to audiobooks, and there were so many times I'd hear people calling in to the Dave Ramsey show, or I'd hear people doing their debt-free screams, and I would cry tears, and I could sit in them by myself doing deliveries crying in my car because I put myself in that situation, and I feel like I was the one who put my family in the situation we were in.
Yeah.
So my why was obviously there, and then your third one about being content. So we have a lot of friends that they're like, "Oh, you're out of debt now. Are you guys going to go buy a new house?" And we're like, "No. Why would we buy a new house?"
Yeah.
Well, don't you want a bigger house? No. We don't really need a bigger house. We're good where we are. We have enough room. We're happy here. We like the home. And even we used to buy so much stuff before we started our debt-free journey. And we like to head down to Vegas usually once a year, and they have the outlet malls down there.
Yep.
When the Canadian dollar was on par, it was great because we were getting huge deals. But we used to just buy and buy and buy, and now we barely buy anything. Even here, we don't really buy clothes, and when we are buying stuff, we're usually buying stuff on like Facebook swap pages. We sell stuff on there, and we buy stuff off there. A lot of our girls' stuff is secondhand. Their bikes are secondhand. We don't. There's no.
If our kids didn't have grandmas, they wouldn't have any new.
That's
stuff.
The same with us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way with my car. My car it's a 2007 Mitsubishi Galant. It has 191,000 miles on it. And I mean, it's a fine car. And everyone's like, "Why don't you get a nicer car?" I'm like, "Why? I don't. So kind of like what you guys said about your house. Like, I don't need a nicer car. It's fine.
It's the same from the inside, right?
Yeah, it's cool. I have it doesn't have Bluetooth. So because all my audiobooks are through, Audible, or I don't know if you guys have this up north, but if you belong to your local library, you can download an app, Hoopla.
Yeah. I use that.
Yep, Hoopla. Yeah, so we use Hoopla. That's what I'm using right now for the current book I'm listening to, and I have this Bluetooth speaker sitting at my console. It's awesome.
Cool. So you are starting your financial coaching business coming up. Where can people get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you, either through email, or what's your website?
Yeah, so my website is it's very rough. It's very beginning. I am not a technical person at all, but it is my business, and my website is Starting Point Finance. So you can find it at www.startingpointfinance.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you just email me at jason@startingpointfinance.com. I'm hoping to get a lot bigger social media presence once I do this full time, just because my niche is definitely with in person, just because I'm much better relatable. I can have a much bigger impact on people one-on-one and in person, but definitely want to utilize that online and where people might be able to get a hold of me. So yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, I know it's late there. I appreciate you staying up and talking with me today.
Yeah, no problem, man. I can always stay up and talk about myself. That's never a problem.
Pump your own tires.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, brother.
Okay, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Best of luck with the show. Looking forward to seeing it grow.
Cool, man. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Hey, guys. Thank you again so much for listening to the show. Without you guys, I probably wouldn't put a show on, so I want to thank you guys for listening to me and listening to the show. Again, I really appreciate it. If you want to get a hold of me, you can do so on any of the major social media platforms, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I've got a channel that I'm starting to create on YouTube. If you want to check out my website, it's aemoneysolutions.com. You can email me directly at aemoneysolutions@outlook.com. And if any of you out there today are debt-free or are close to debt-free, we'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to interview just like we did with Jason today. Learn about how you did it so you can teach and show everybody else how you guys did it and how they too can become debt-free. Thank you again, guys, for lending your ear. We'll see you guys in episode 9. Thank you again so much.